we can smell marijuana. That still gives us the right to come in and search for that, okay?
Not without a warrant.
No, it does. I don't have to have a warrant when I can smell it.
A man in Owensboro, Kentucky accidentally butt dialed 911 by pressing the emergency button on his iPhone's lock screen. And then some of the most constitutionally ignorant cops I've ever shown on this channel arrive at the guy's front door. He tells them it was a butt dial, that he's alone in his house, that there's no emergency.
You said you're home alone, no one's there with you? You called by accident?
But sensing something other than complete and total submission to government authority, the cops claim that they smell marijuana, they stick their foot in the door, and they detain him without a warrant.
I don't know why you're being so difficult about this.
Because I know my rights.
No, okay, and I know my rights and our rights as officers. We can smell marijuana, so we can...
Even worse than that, they tell him that they're about to come inside his house, also without a warrant, just due to the alleged smell of marijuana.
You have to be 21 to purchase that.
22.
Okay, so we need to verify that then. How about that?
Just completely disregarding longstanding and clearly established constitutional law saying that they cannot do that. So the guy asks for their supervisor, but when the supervisor shows up, he's even worse than they are.
I want to talk to you because you're the supervisor.
I don't have anything to say to you.
These are just basic constitutional rights that everyone needs to know in these situations. Also, people just need to see what the public is dealing with out there in certain parts of the country, entire police departments who just basically ignore our constitutional rights and then get away with it. And therefore, they continue to do it. So what can be done? Actually, you can help, so let's go through it. This footage was submitted by Xavier, who lives in Owensboro, Kentucky. He was hanging out at his house one evening, partaking and smoking what he says is a completely legal cannabis-based product, one which smells similar or the same to technically illegal cannabis itself. This is the neighborhood right here, and this is the house. Note the vehicle in the yard, that will come up later. So this is what happened. As Xavier is listening to music at home at level 11, he accidentally butt dials 911. How did he do this? You know that button on your iPhone's lock screen that says emergency? There's actually a whole bunch of YouTube videos answering the question, what happens when you press that button? Well, Xavier effed around and he found out. Even though it was a mistake, the iPhone's location was pinged. Dispatch sent police officers to his home. So 2 officers with what appears to be the Owensboro, Kentucky Police Department arrive to the scene and they walk up to the home's front porch. Xavier meets them at the door. He partially opens the door, but he doesn't step outside. He also does not invite the officers in, for a good reason, which you will see later.
Hello? Hey, buddy. I'm not going to run you anything, man. I just want to say I talked to you and everything was safe.
You don't need my name to do that, though. I don't have to give my name.
You said you're home alone, no one's there with you? You called by accident?
Yeah. When I said I called, I hung up.
Okay, I know, but like, the cell phone dot hit here is what came.
Okay. I just told you I didn't mean to call.
So what were you trying to call if you didn't mean to call?
I didn't mean to call. I just accidentally hit the emergency.
It's a bright light.
Like that.
Oh, thank you.
It's tired. But I just hit the emergency call by accident, I guess, like on the lock screen.
After he explains to them that he mistakenly hit that emergency button on his lock screen and that everything was fine, that there was no emergency, the officer says, well, even though there's no emergency here, you're now required to give me your name because I can smell the smell of marijuana from inside your residence. Xavier explains that it's not marijuana, that it's a perfectly legal product, and he even offers to show it to the officer to explain why he thinks he smells marijuana. But the officer responded that he wasn't interested in actually investigating the source of this suspicious smell that he said he wants to investigate, but rather he just wants Xavier's name.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well here's what we're going to do right now. You're going to give us your name because I can smell the marijuana coming out of the house right now.
It's perfectly legal. It's THCA.
No, marijuana is not legal. Okay.
It's not marijuana.
It smells like marijuana.
Okay. I'll show you.
No, we don't need to talk about that right now, but...
I don't have to give my name, though.
So you're going to give your name now? We can just get a search warrant for your house. We legally can come in your house right now.
I feel a little dumb.
Listen.
This literally just THCA. Do you buy it in the store?
first he said, we can get a search warrant for your house. But then he corrected himself and he said, we can actually come into your house right now just because we say we smell marijuana. The officer claims that he gets to come in and search now for that product that Xavier already offered to voluntarily show him. Xavier then correctly says, no, you can't, not without a warrant. The officer then responds saying he does not have to have a warrant because he can smell it.
Listen, we can smell marijuana.
Okay.
Okay. So whether it's THC 8 or not, that still gives us the right to come in and search for that, okay?
Not without a warrant.
No, it does. I don't have to have a warrant when I can smell it.
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does matter.
It's not just my private property.
Yes, it does matter. It's not private property like that.
I'll show you what it is.
I don't care.
Okay.
All you had to do is give us your name, and we were going to be. Yes, you do now. Now that I can smell the marijuana, yes, you do.
Okay.
Xavier again offers to show the officer what he's smelling, and the officer again responds that he doesn't actually care. Then the officer takes a different tack and he says that even though the smell could be explained by this legal product, that in order to buy that product, Xavier has to be 21 to buy it. And so now he needs to come into his house in order to verify his age that he's legal to use that product.
So I'm perfectly I was telling you, I can show you what it is. It's legal. It's part of the farm bill. It's legal federally.
Okay. Like I said, to me, it smells like marijuana.
And I have conditions to qualify me for
okay. You have to be 21 to purchase that.
22.
Okay. So we need to verify that then. How about that?
The officer insists that Xavier misunderstands his rights, and he doesn't appreciate the rights of the officers. He claims that it's just like a car, that if he smells marijuana in your car, he can then go search your car. He says the same goes for your house. If I smell marijuana in your house, I get to come in and search your house.
I don't know why you're being so difficult about this.
Because I know my rights.
No, okay, and I know my rights, and our rights as officers. We can smell marijuana, so we can legally... What's that?
I also know you're allowed to lie to me, so you could just...
Yeah, I'm allowed to lie to you, but do you not understand the law that
my uncle's a
when I could... Okay, do you want to call him and ask him? Because I promise you, just like if you're driving a car, and I smell marijuana in the car, I can get you out and I can search your car.
Yeah, because
same goes for your...
under the influence.
Same goes for your house. If I can smell marijuana at your house...
But Xavier tells him that he doesn't want to give him his name because of the principle of it. He has the right not to do so. He brings up the fact that his uncle is a local lawyer. The officer acknowledges that he knows his uncle, and then he encourages Xavier to call his uncle in order to verify that what he's telling him is true, that he doesn't need a warrant to come into Xavier's house to search because he smells marijuana.
I just had cops the other day, and they seen weed laid out, and they didn't get...
Yeah, we usually don't care. But when you're being obnoxious about it, you won't tell us your name. Okay? There's a reason people call 911. It doesn't not just an accident usually. Okay?
Yeah, you know how in your lock screen you can hit an emergency call?
Yeah.
And it calls automatically?
Then why not just give your name and be done with it?
Because I don't have to. It's like the thing if I told you, hey, I need you to give me $1 million, you don't have to.
Okay.
No, nothing legally.
Now you're just doing hypothetically.
Do you know
illegally. What's that?
Frank Mercado?
Yeah, I know who Mercado is. Okay, great.
Okay, so I'm not stupid.
Okay. And I promise you, if you ask him about what we can legally do on search and seizures, if I can smell it, I can articulate it. If I can see it, we can go that route as well, okay?
I'm telling you it's legal, and you know what
No, I do not. I don't use THCA.
But you know what it is. Come on now.
I've never smelt it.
But you know what it is.
I think with
it's hemp. It smells the same as weed.
It does not. I'm
sorry, go ahead.
What he's coming from is we can smell weed. It smells like weed, so we can't. We don't.
I'm not like you.
That's what he's trying to get at.
It's just like you drinking a non-alcoholic beer. It smells exactly like beer, right?
I mean, I've been drinking too. I'm just chilling, dude.
But I don't understand why you're not just stay right there. Don't check your door or anything.
For the medical marijuana, know what that happens.
Delta 352 Central. Can you run Kentucky 159?
I'm not doing nothing illegal. You know?
Yeah, I know you're not. No one said you were. So
I know. We just been in a crime, and you even just said, I'm not doing anything illegal, so I don't have to give you my name.
Okay. I can articulate that you're doing something illegal because I can smell marijuana. Okay.
But he's saying I'm not doing nothing illegal.
Yeah.
I can show you what it is to show you it's not illegal.
Charles, coming back to 98.4, Martin calling to William M. Davis.
Tiffel, what's the date of birth on that? OMU records and see who resides here at 2001.
Christian name.
So I don't know if you even live here right now. So
I do live here.
okay, I don't know that because I can't prove that you live here. Everything's in your stepmom or your stepdad.
It's his house.
Okay. I don't know why you're being so difficult about
Dude, you're pressing me for my name when I tell you. You know I don't have to give my name.
Yes, you do. Whenever there is a legal matter, you have to give your name. Yes, if you were just randomly and we just come up talk to you, no, you don't have to give your name. But when we have a legal,
he knows I'm not doing nothing illegal.
No, we don't know that. We're trying to. He's trying to agree with you.
You don't know, but he knows I'm not doing nothing.
That's impossible it's impossible to articulate the smell of marijuana, whether it's THC 8 or not.
Hey, but I know. I'm not trying to be smart ass. I'm just trying.
You did say you were going to show me your ID. Man.
I will, but it's like you're just being a dick for no.
I'm not being a dick. You're the one acting like this because you just won't give us an idea.
I want you to tell me, and I'll give my ID once you tell me this. I do not have to give my ID, and you know I don't.
No, yes, you do.
Come on, dude.
There is no come on, dude. Whenever I can smell the marijuana, I can.
The supervisor tells me that I have to give my ID, I will.
I already know you have to get us your ID.
Okay, we'll call your supervisor.
352, 307.
I'll stay with whatever.
No, we'll just stand right here.
I'll just.
Can you come out here? 2001 Stonewall, please.
I mean, I got a broken hip. I ain't gonna do nothing, dude.
Yeah, we'll be a few minutes.
But is that true? Would the uncle verify what the officer is saying? Let's hope not, because this is the most basic right that we have under the Fourth Amendment that this officer is apparently completely oblivious to. As the Supreme Court held in the 1980 case of Payton versus New York, absent valid consent or exigent circumstances, i.e. an emergency actively occurring, law enforcement may not cross the threshold of a residence without a warrant. There is no "I smell weed" exception to this. So even if a police officer does have probable cause to make an arrest for someone of some crime, Payton versus New York says, sorry, you have to come back with a warrant. It doesn't matter what you smell, what you know. You could have the most airtight case of all time for possession of marijuana or smoking marijuana in a home that has ever existed. Xavier could have admitted that he had smoked an epic amount of completely illegal weed, and this cop still could not legally arrest him without a warrant. Why? Because he is in his home. Does it matter that the home belongs to his stepdad or anyone else for that matter? No, as the Supreme Court held in the 1990 case of Minnesota versus Olson, even overnight guests have a reasonable expectation of privacy in a home that they are visiting and therefore have full Fourth Amendment protections to that home while they are visiting. That's why even hotel guests have Fourth Amendment protections to the hotel rooms that they are just renting overnight. So this officer absolutely cannot cross the threshold of Xavier's home, either to arrest him or to search. Now, this may be just a poor training issue. The officer is probably confusing cars and houses, which is frankly scary. While it's true that the officer does have the ability to search a vehicle on a public roadway if he claims to smell marijuana in certain states or develops other probable cause, that is actually an exception to the general warrant requirement known as the automobile exception. But there is no such exception for the home, and in fact, even when a vehicle is parked within the curtilage of a home, even the automobile exception does not apply. As the Supreme Court held in the 2018 case of Collins versus Virginia, police cannot enter the curtilage of a home, which is the area close to the home that's treated as part of the home, such as an enclosed yard, garage, driveway, or porch, to search a vehicle parked within the curtilage of that home without a warrant, even where they have probable cause, which could be smell of marijuana. Here, the officer is adamant that if he has reasonable suspicion that a crime has occurred, i.e. smoking illegal marijuana, that he is now authorized to detain Xavier and search him and his surroundings. Not only is this officer mistaken in his belief that he gets to enter the house and search, but he's also mistaken that he even has the right to stand on the home's front porch and attempt to gather evidence, which he was doing by looking around, by smelling, by asking questions. He doesn't. Kentucky is in the 6th Federal Circuit, so other than Supreme Court case law, you'd look there next for applicable case law on federal constitutional rights. In the 6th Circuit case Morgan versus Fairfield County in 2018, the court held that police violate the Fourth Amendment when they physically intrude into a home's curtilage to search for evidence without a warrant, even where they have a reasonable suspicion that a crime has occurred. In fact, the whole concept of the curtilage of a home being protected came from a Florida case, Florida versus Jardines, where cops brought this drug dog onto a guy's front porch to sniff for drugs. The Supreme Court said that's a search, and you can't just go sniff for drugs on a home's front porch without a warrant, because that's basically like part of the home. But what if you're a cop and you smell something illegal? What if you smell marijuana? Surely the Supreme Court is wrong. Even way back in 1961, the Supreme Court said, we don't care. Go get a warrant. In the 1961 case of Chapman versus United States, cops suspected this guy was operating a moonshine still in his house that he was renting. They could smell the mash, so they went and they got a search warrant, right? Because they could smell it. No, they didn't. They actually contacted the landlord to get permission from the landlord to enter, which they did. The Supreme Court said, no, it doesn't matter what you smelled. You needed to get a warrant to enter. And the landlord cannot give you permission to bypass the warrant requirement, and the landlord cannot give you permission to bypass getting a warrant. In other words, this ignorant cop couldn't be more wrong about what he thinks he's talking about. He has no right to even be standing on this man's porch and questioning him, threatening him, and so on. He has to leave and either come back with a warrant or don't come back with a warrant. So the officer standing on Xavier's front porch illegally forces Xavier to provide him with his ID, which he does. Then this officer promptly begins to use that ID against him, thus answering his own question about why a citizen would not want to provide their ID to a police officer. Because that police officer is then going to run their criminal history, look for anything that they possibly can find to arrest them, to jam them up, and otherwise go on a fishing expedition. Here, the officer uses Xavier's ID to try to jam him up on other charges, including something as petty as not updating the address on his ID.
And then it just kind of fucked up. Like you're trying to think you're smart running the tag to get my name, and you're not.
Okay. And you're trying to be smart saying that because we can smell weed that we can't get to identify it.
For you. I just,
hey, you're right. You didn't.
My ring camera pulled up, so
you didn't.
I knew I accidentally called 911, so I was like, yeah, they're probably here for that. Let me just tell them it was an accident. And then you're pressing me for my name.
And okay.
Because you smell weed.
Yes, we smell weed.
You're assuming it's illegal, but I'm telling you it's not. And he even said.
So I'm assuming you're a legal citizen, but you could be a felon. So
not
you could have a
in order for you to possess it legally. I told you the reasons for it to be free to have it legal. I think you gotta have the receipt, purchase.
Yeah,
you gotta be
the back before I bought it.
You gotta have a doctor's note.
That's if I'm like traveling with it though.
But like in order to actually like
I'll have it in there.
Have it medically for Kentucky for medical.
Yeah,
that's medical marijuana. I was saying medical marijuana. I was saying
you
what you got to have it for medical marijuana. So I was trying to explain.
So it's just like if I saw you with a cigarette, guess what? You got to be 21 to have a cigarette. So if I come up and ask you for your ID,
purchase cigarettes.
You got to be 21 to possess them.
So they changed. They changed the law.
Okay, my bad.
Okay, so you don't know everything. I know you don't know everything. So it's the same thing. If I come up to a person and they have a cigarette, I can ask if I think they're underage. I can ask them for their ID, and they have to provide it. Okay.
Is your supervisor coming?
Yeah, he's coming. It'll be a couple minutes. So where are the homeowners at?
I mean, I kind of do own the homes.
Well, I mean, you said it's your stepmom and stepdad's.
No, it's my stepdad's name, but it's
You said your stepdad.
Or not my stepdad. I'm sorry, my dad. It's my dad's name. The deed's in his name. It's my house. I live here.
Okay.
And then
How can you prove you live here?
I don't really have to.
What's that?
You think I don't live here?
I'm just curious.
My dad and let him confirm for you.
I mean, whatever. I'm just asking a question. I mean, you said you live here, but nothing's in your name. So that's why I'm wondering. I'm like, well,
my address on my ID ain't here either. Because I have multiple places I use.
Oh, okay.
So that's crazy.
In reference to that 28.
I'm gonna come outside because I don't want you to sit in my house.
January 12th, 2019.
Yeah, because you can't shut the door right now.
You can't. I'm coming outside.
We're gonna hang tight right here.
You get your foot out my door. Because legally, technically, you're inside my house right now. You know you ain't close to me.
No, that's not right. Because I can do this so you cannot shut the door on me. Okay.
But I can come out and shut the door.
We're just gonna stay right here.
Why?
Because I can see all this area right here, and if you shut the door, I can't see if somebody comes walking out of a room or anything. I don't know that.
Okay, but it doesn't matter. I'm telling you guys.
Okay.
If I don't want you in my house, you can't be in my house, dude.
This is not violating your rights of coming into your house.
Your floor's overlaying my floor, so technically you're in my house.
Okay, technically, right now, that's fine. Good to do that.
You know it is. You try to run my truck, which you ain't legally supposed to run my truck.
No, I can legally run your truck because you can't park it in your yard even.
Yes, I can.
Against
It's against the city
ordinance.
Yes. I mean, I don't know why you think if you're
an actual driveway at all, even you can see an actual driveway.
There's a gravel driveway. There's a gravel driveway.
So what's the difference between you doing on gravel and grass?
Talk to the dude. We don't make the city ordinance. Okay.
So, you know, I mean, take it for that.
I could, and I could write you a ticket for not updating your license.
I don't need a good one. I still use that address. 3127 Davis Street. That's my
You
day.
tell me you live here.
I do. I live here and go there. Go to my mom.
Okay.
By law, so
I get mail at all 3 addresses.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does. If I get mail there, I can use as my address on my license.
Okay, dude.
If I couldn't, you would give me a ticket for it.
I'm not going to give you a ticket for it because it's petty. I could, yes. You done told me you live here.
I do. I live with my dad's and my mom's. I live where I
Okay, man. Sounds like you sat around the table and heard a little bit of the law, what Frank's told you.
No,
But
my lawyer's Chris Rhodes.
but you said your uncle was Frank, so I'm sure you've heard him talk.
I mean.
So then it makes you think that you know all this stuff, which you don't.
Pretty simple. I know my rights.
Okay, obviously.
I do. I'm trying to violate them.
I'm not trying to
violate my ID. I don't. Or my name. I don't.
Okay. All I'm telling
you articulate. I'm committing a crime to get my name.
The smell of marijuana is articulatable.
And you know that's legal, so ends that one right there.
No, it's not.
People know this.
you know what I just told you about?
I can go get it right now, smoke in front of you. You can't do nothing at all. I'm not trying to be petty. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
You ever think gets weed or something?
No, I absolutely do not. Usually, I don't even care about it. If you would have given us your name, I would have smelled the weed. I wouldn't have cared.
They didn't give a damn. It was sitting all out.
So what's happening in this video might as well be occurring in some third world country or authoritarian regime somewhere, because federal constitutional protections that were won by our forefathers 250 years ago were actually meaningless here in Owensboro, Kentucky in January of 2024, because the Owensboro Police Department is either just that dumb or intentionally tyrannical. And nobody did, in fact, stop them. There was no accountability for this at all. The reason for this will be clear when you meet the officer's supervisor arriving shortly.
Let Officer Hart explain to him what's going on. Then he'll.
Hey, Sarge. All right. So, got some legal questions here. We get the 911 hit call here. Mm-hmm. Knock on the door. He opens it, starts talking to us.
Yeah, I didn't know that, honestly.
We asked him to identify himself because we can smell odor of marijuana coming from the house. Mm-hmm. He just says, "No, I'm not giving you my name. I'm not doing anything."
Okay.
So we told him, "We have to give us your name."
Yeah.
He just kept refusing, and we eventually found it because there was another call here the other night.
Oh.
So we're good. He's good. He's clear.
You don't have any warrants?
No. But
you want to be uncooperative? I'm being uncooperative. I just know my rights. I don't have to get my name. I'm not doing nothing illegal.
Well, technically, we could get a search warrant for your house and come in and seize whatever evidence we
You think
find.
they give you a search warrant just for the smell of weed?
I just literally got one on Christmas Day.
Yep.
Not a week ago.
Maybe a gram and a half of THCA.
Yeah, no. I'm just letting you know.
I'm saying, like, I told him it was legal. I told him it's THCA. It's hemp. It's part of the farm bill. It's federally legal.
I'm just.
But he's still.
Well, it's not.
It is. This is a whole.
Marijuana is still illegal in Kentucky, but
It's
that's
not
irrelevant.
marijuana.
Did you need anything from the police department?
Yeah, I kind of want to know why y'all think I have to give you my name. And then he's running the truck, my truck, just to get my name. Like,
Well, we got a
he just run
911
my
call.
plates for nothing.
We can
No,
actually.
you can.
We can run your plate because we got a 911 call here.
I told him to actually.
I know, but we still have to tell them we're obligated to come and
But
somebody calls
doesn't have to give you my
911.
name.
Huh?
Doesn't have to give you my name.
Well, yeah, you have to identify yourself because what if a crime's occurring here? How are we going to know who's involved?
Do you see a crime being committed?
Well, we smell one being committed.
You smell would be committed?
Yeah, possession of marijuana. I have reason to believe there's marijuana in there. That is a crime.
It's him.
Well, it smells like marijuana, so I have probable cause to believe that it is.
Well, y'all need better training
Let's see.
on what's hemp and what's marijuana, and that doesn't smell the same.
Gentlemen, let's go.
okay.
Okay, then you talk. You should listen.
Good luck, good luck, man.
I mean, I can call back and get another.
If you misuse the 911 system, I will arrest you. I'm sorry.
I want to talk to you because you're the supervisor.
I don't have anything to say to you.
Okay.
What do you need from us?
But you're a public servant, right?
What do you need from us?
I need to talk to you about what.
I'm standing here talking. What do you need from us?
Can I talk to you without them?
No.
Okay.
What do you need from us?
I just told you. If you want to be a smart ass, that's fine.
Huh?
If you want to be a smart ass, that's fine.
Nobody's being a smartass. What do you need from the police department?
For no reason. I just said I want to talk.
Have a good day, sir.
All right.
So at the end of the day, the cops left. I'm unaware of any criminal charges ever being filed against Xavier, but just the fact that it happened is just amazing to me. Sure, Xavier should not have butt-dialed the cops, especially when his house was wafting the smell of marijuana, but he actually handled the situation pretty well. He generally understood his rights, and he ended up documenting these constitutional violations while at the same time avoiding actually having to go to jail himself in order to do so. He was polite throughout, and he was a good witness for himself. The cop, on the other hand, though I don't know what his name is or I would tell you, should be ashamed of himself in my opinion. Not only was he rude and disrespectful during the encounter, but he was completely 100% wrong on what he said the law was. And then there's the supervisor, who should be more than ashamed. He should resign. He knew that his officer was wrong, otherwise he wouldn't have left. You could just tell that he wanted so badly to retaliate against Xavier, but he knew that they had no right to do so. You have to wonder if after the body cams turned off, if he educated his officer on the constitutional principles that he completely missed somehow up through this point in his career. If these are your public servants and you want to fire all of your politicians, I'll put the relevant contact information below. If these are not your public servants specifically, but you want to help others fire their politicians, you can help by sharing this footage. The politicians will only care if the footage goes sufficiently viral, which it should. You can help make that happen by sharing this video, by liking it, by commenting on it, all of which will get it going in the algorithm. And this hopefully will result in accountability once enough people see it and the public is outraged. Sadly, it's usually our only real way to get accountability. As always, if I hear an update, I'll do an update video. You can follow along by subscribing both here and at the blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. You can follow me on X at JohnBryanESQ. Remember, our rights don't end where your fear begins. Freedom is scary. Deal with it.